Thank you, Ashokji. Good evening, students. I hope you all had a safe and a happy Diwali, and you have spent a good, relaxing time to give some rest for your brains and taken good care of you. And it is very nice to see some students already started coming to the class, and I can see your presence here. Very nice. So I hope before we left, whatever we had studied remains with you, because we are in middle of this topic of charge, and we were discussing on reverse charge, and so topic which will give you fetch good marks, I would say, because reverse charge is one which is different from other taxes. Generally, in income tax, you have 5 heads. And even in the erstwhile laws, we had only taxes which was levied by the provider to the receiver. But reverse charge is one which is unique in the GST. So reverse charge, I would strongly feel that there would be some questions which would come for you. So you should concentrate on reverse charge. There could be various confusing things, various aspects which will really, put you into trouble. So be careful, but be confident that yes, you know this chapter very well. It is a very simple chapter if you understand it. So if you are clear and you are understanding this, then this is the easiest chapter for you to score marks, and you should be able to gauge through in your theory aspects also. Okay, so we just started, Alok. You're not very late. We've just started. So we were discussing on reverse charge. Today we'll discuss on the thing. Adarsh has a question. Sir, can the reverse charge tax liability be offset with input tax credit? So how it works is the reverse charge tax, whatever we calculate, has to be paid in cash only. It cannot be utilized from the ITC credit. So first you are to compulsorily pay from your cash. Electronic input tax, electronic credit ledger cannot be used for this. You have to pay from your electronic liability ledger, which means that you have to pay it through cash. Once you pay it through cash, then that becomes an input tax credit. Then you could claim it. In the same month also you can claim it, because when you pay it instantly, that comes to your credit. So you pay 2 taxes. One is tax on your output, one is tax on your input, and one is tax on your reverse charge. The tax on the reverse charge has to be paid through cash, and the credit can be offset for payment of your liability in the same month itself. Okay. What is the meaning of mutatis mutandis? Mutatis mutandis means same, similar. So if I tell you the provisions, what is applicable for ITC of GTA is mutatis mutandis applicable to RCM of motor vehicle. It means those provisions apply here, except the differences which I tell. Mutatis mutandis means it applies in principle the same manner. Okay. Reverse charge is always in the form of IGST? No, reverse charge is not in the form of IGST. Reverse charge is dependent like how it is decided in any other cases. Like if I'm supplying from, I said no, 2 things are important: location of supplier and place of supply. So if the location of supplier is in Karnataka and place of supply is in Karnataka itself, then I will charge CGST and SGST. Similarly, in case of reverse charge, you will decide what is the location of supplier of the service provider and what is the place of supply. Based on that, you will pay the reverse charge. Now, if the location of supplier and place of supply are in 2 different states, then your reverse charge will be of IGST. If the location of supplier and place of supply are in the same state, then you will pay CGST and SGST itself. Like take an instance where the supplier is outside the state and you are in Karnataka. Now supplier is in Rajasthan and you are in Karnataka. Sir, so if he is in Rajasthan, he will pay IGST. Now if it is under reverse charge, I have to pay IGST. Should I go to that state, register and pay? No, you don't have to go to that state and register and pay. You will pay IGST from your state itself. So if you are registered in Karnataka, you will pay in Karnataka itself the IGST. Take another instance when the supplier is in Mysore, which is a state in Karnataka, and I am registered in Bangalore, which is the capital of Karnataka. So the location of supplier is Mysore, place of supply is Bangalore. So based on that, I will pay CGST and SGST. Okay, so reverse charge is the tax, but it is not always IGST. It depends on the location of supplier and place of supply, always. Okay. So we were discussing on reverse charge on motor vehicle. So we'll discuss on this. Similar to my previous session on GTA, here also I have prepared a chart because there was some requests from few students saying that they enjoyed this chart preparation so that they can understand this in a very good manner. So I have prepared a chart on this as well. I will uh, share that with you. Is my Excel sheet visible? Another question. Is reverse charge mandatory only on transportation transactions specified in the Act under 93, or it can be applied on any transactions? Reverse charge is mandatorily to be applied only on those transactions mentioned under 93 because on all other transactions, it has to be on forward charge itself. It cannot be on reverse charge. Only those specified cases, what is mentioned in 93, only in those instances you will pay under reverse charge and not in other cases. In all other cases, you will pay under regular forward charge. Good evening, Jyoti. Great. So let's start with the GST on RCM on motor vehicles. We had discussed this. Now let us see what we discussed. Do you remember or no? The service provider in first instance is a company A. Now whether the company is registered or unregistered, we don't know. It's a company. Now service receiver is company B. Now whether he's registered or unregistered doesn't matter. Now when company A is providing to company B, who is the person liable to pay freight? कविता चंदक जी जीएसटी में एग्जाम में न्यूमेरिकल क्वेश्चंस भी आते हैं हाँ न्यूमेरिकल क्वेश्चंस भी आते हैं कंपनी ए बहुत लोग बोल रहे हैं थोड़े लोग कंपनी बी बोल रहे हैं फॉर कैलकुलेटिंग एग्रीगेट टर्नओवर वी वुड इंक्लूड आरसीएम ट्रांजैक्शंस जब हम एग्रीगेट टर्नओवर पढ़ेंगे उसमें देखेंगे इन एग्रीगेट टर्नओवर वी डोंट इंक्लूड द आरसीएम ट्रांजैक्शंस सो एग्रीगेट टर्नओवर में आरसीएम का वैल्यूज इंक्लूड नहीं होता गुड क्वेश्चन अंकित ओके so who is the supplier it's the company A who is the receiver company B in our chart if you remember we had said that if the service provider is a company then who is liable to pay the GST it will always be the company itself so in this case company B receiver is not the answer the correct answer is company A who is the service provider okay so the person liable to pay freight is company A and it is under what charge it is under forward charge okay not the recipient if the supplier is a non-company and the receiver is a company then it attracts reverse charge but not in this case okay so people who are given answer as company B be careful it is company A because he's the service provider who's a corporate entity now company A is registered who is supplying it to a partnership firm okay in this case who will pay the RCM or the forward charge who will pay the GST on this transaction Kanaka Harini what you didn't understand madam please tell me your question For the benefit of students who are not able to understand this reverse charge, I'll explain this chart again. Whenever renting of motor vehicle, including cost of fuel, is provided by a body corporate, okay, if it is provided by a body corporate and service is supplied to any person, okay, service is supplied to any person by a body corporate, in both these instances, you'll see it is under forward charge itself. So when a company is providing, whether it's registered or unregistered, doesn't matter. When the service is provided by a body corporate and service is supplied to any person, it is under forward charge. If it is service provided by any person other than body corporate to a body corporate, then also it is under forward charge to any person other than body corporate. But if it is provided to a body corporate, only then reverse charge will come in one instance. In all other instances, it is under forward charge. Okay. So in the second instance, again, mixed answers. But the correct answer is company A, because it's a corporate and a corporate providing to any other corporate itself is under forward charge. Then if they're providing to a non-corporate, it has to be definitely under forward charge itself. So the correct answer here is forward charge itself. What is the answer for third case? So this is also again forward charge itself. A partnership firm which is unregistered providing to another partnership firm. What happens in that case? Krishna Shah, if you missed the last lecture, it's okay. Only on this aspect, you might feel a little confused, but you can continue watching here. Come on, this many people are still giving a wrong answer. Please answer this correctly. This is the trickiest one. If this you can answer correctly, that means you have understood this topic properly. ज्योति जी, हम फ्राइट का बात नहीं कर रहे हैं अभी, हम लोग फ्राइट से हो गए हैं, हम अभी नेक्स्ट टॉपिक पे हैं, विच इज रेंटिंग ऑफ मोटर व्हीकल्स इंक्लूडिंग कॉस्ट ऑफ फ्यूल, जो हम लास्ट क्लास में लास्ट टॉपिक में डिस्कस किए थे, उसका पूछ रहे हैं. यहाँ पे घातक सिग्नल है, यहाँ पे आप लोग बहुत डेंजरस काम कर रहे हो, बहुत लोग रिवर्स चार्ज बोल रहे हैं, बट करेक्ट आंसर इज पार्टनरशिप ए, विच इज द सर्विस प्रोवाइडर एंड इट विल पे अंडर फॉरवर्ड चार्ज. क्यों? क्योंकि हमने कहा है अगर बॉडी कॉर्पोरेट है तो वो फॉरवर्ड चार्ज पे करेगा, अगर नॉन बॉडी कॉर्पोरेट है, ठीक है, ये नॉन बॉडी कॉर्पोरेट है सर्विस प्रोवाइडर, ये फॉरवर्ड चार्ज या रिवर्स चार्ज पे कैसे पे करेगा, दैट विल बी डिसाइडेड ऑन द रिसीवर. जब रिसीवर नॉन बॉडी कॉर्पोरेट है तो सर्विस प्रोवाइडर फॉरवर्ड चार्ज में ही प्रोवाइड करेगा. सो रिसीवर इज अ नॉन बॉडी कॉर्पोरेट, सो सर्विस प्रोवाइडर विल पे अंडर फॉरवर्ड चार्ज इटसेल्फ. ठीक है, इसका बहुत देख के कीजिए यहाँ पे, बिकॉज इट्स अ पार्टनरशिप फर्म एंड पार्टनरशिप विल जनरली फील दैट ओके नॉन कॉर्पोरेट है तो रिवर्स चार्ज कैसे नहीं होगा, फॉरवर्ड चार्ज पे करना होगा. सर्विस प्रोवाइडर इज अ पार्टनरशिप फर्म ए and receiver is a partnership firm B. It's a non-body corporate. When a non-body corporate provides to another non-body corporate, it is under forward charge. ठीक है, Fourth one, cooperative society providing to a partnership firm. Who will pay the GST on this, whether RCM or FCM? Correct, Ganesh, your statement is correct. Only if non-body corporate provides services to body corporate, then RCM. Absolutely. छोटा से बड़ा, बड़ा से छोटा, ये सब याद रख सकते हो, but it's actually company, non-company, वही चीज है. एक्सेल शीट को थोड़ा जूम कर लेते हैं, ठीक है. Correct, Ramchandra. So I don't foresee that they will upload a updated study material of IDT. Use the previous study material with the supplementary material itself. Won't freight always be paid by the service receiver? You're right, freight will be paid. But see the question. This is not a freight question. This is GST, RCM on GST, renting of motor vehicle, including cost of fuel. So this is not a GTA service. This is a different service, renting of motor vehicle, including cost of fuel. Person liable to pay GST. मेरा बोलने का मतलब ये था, not freight. Person liable to pay GST. I stand corrected. Thank you, Jyoti. Okay. I think काफी लोगों को यहाँ पे क्लैरिटी है कि कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी पे करेगा. That is right. So the correct answer is cooperative society because it's a non-body corporate. If it's providing to another non-body corporate, forward charge हमने जैसे यहाँ पे कहा था same, FCM लगेगा. Now partnership firm providing service of motor vehicle including cost of fuel to company A. इस केस में कौन फ्राइट पे करेगा? कौन GST पे करेगा? Mohammadin Vora, yes, your answers are visible. I already have given the PPT and PDF of previous class. It should be uploaded, Vidya. If it is not uploaded, let me know in the next class. It should be uploaded by next class. Partnership if full ITC is taken and company if partial ITC is taken. Very good. Good answer. But if nothing is mentioned, what do you do? Then you cannot give two answers, right? So in that case, what you will assume is it is taking partial ITC itself. Okay. If it is taken as a full ITC, then they will specifically mention that the service provider is claiming full ITC. So most of you have given the correct answer. It is company A because the service provider is a non-body corporate. Non-body corporate providing service to a body corporate is under reverse charge. So this will be under reverse charge mechanism. Next one, registered dealer, Mr. A, providing, so is a service provider, registered dealer providing to a company. Okay, here, in this case, what happened? Here it was partnership firm, here it's a registered dealer. Now, if a registered dealer provides to company A, what will be the status? I hope you're understanding. The reason of giving you this is to make you understand how different scenarios would come in and what you, so that you don't get confused. So most of you are saying it's a registered dealer. रजिस्टर्ड डीलर क्यों रहेगा यहाँ पे? सर्विस प्रोवाइडर और सर्विस रिसीवर को आपको देखना है. जब सर्विस प्रोवाइडर नॉन कॉर्पोरेट है, ठीक है, तो वो कभी भी फॉरवर्ड चार्ज पे कब पे करेगा? जब रिसीवर कंपनी नहीं हो तो. लेकिन इस केस में तो रिसीवर कंपनी है, तो फिर ये फॉरवर्ड चार्ज में नहीं, रिवर्स चार्ज पे आएगा, क्योंकि रिसीवर कंपनी है और प्रोवाइडर नॉन बॉडी कॉर्पोरेट है, तो फिर ये रिवर्स चार्ज ही लगेगा. सो दिस विल बी अंडर आरसीएम. सिक्स्थ में काफी लोग कंफ्यूज हो गए हैं. प्लीज डोंट गेट कंफ्यूज. डीलर इज अदर देन बॉडी कॉर्पोरेट प्रोवाइडिंग सर्विस टू कंपनी, देयरफॉर कंपनी ए विल पे इन आरसीएम. करेक्ट. शुड यू ट्रीट रजिस्टर्ड डीलर एज अ कंपनी? नहीं, कंपनी को ही आप कंपनी डील कर सकते हो, रजिस्टर्ड डीलर को आप कंपनी डील नहीं कर सकते हो. डोंट ट्रीट अ रजिस्टर्ड डीलर एज अ कंपनी. ही इज जस्ट रजिस्टर्ड अंडर जीएसटी, नॉट अ कंपनी. रजिस्टर्ड हमने सिर्फ रजिस्टर्ड डीलर का है, तो इंडिविजुअल ही रहेगा, बिकॉज अगर कंपनी है तो स्पेसिफिकली कंपनी मेंशन किया जाएगा. Right? Registered dealer means registered under GST. So it could be anybody who's a non-body corporate, बस registration उन्होंने GST में ले लिया. ठीक है? Question number 7. Company A providing service to this registered dealer. In this case, what happens? Company A under forward charge. Very good. Most of you have given correct answer here. Company A is under forward charge. तभी आपको easy हो जाएगा समझने के लिए. Question number 8. Registered dealer Mr. A who is availing full ITC. तो यहाँ पे purely लिखा है full ITC. इसका मतलब जो भी दूसरे cases है उसमें you have to assume that they are taking partial ITC itself. तो यहाँ पे जब specifically full ITC ले रहा है तब इसमें clearly mention किया है registered dealer is taking full ITC and he is providing service to company A. इस केस में क्या कौन पे करेगा? ओके अभी ठीक है. When they have specifically mentioned Mr. A, it means it's an individual. That is another thing. Registered dealer Mr. A availing full ITC and providing to company A. Still people are saying it is company A under reverse charge. No, it is not under reverse charge. It is Mr. A, because if he is claiming full ITC, okay. No, I think I'm confused here. If a service provider is providing to a company, okay, then what happens? Be careful. It is a non-company provider, but he is providing to a body corporate, but he's availing full ITC, then it is under forward charge, not under reverse charge. Even I got confused for a moment seeing so many answers, but it is Mr. A itself, not the company. Okay? So it will be Mr. A itself, not the receiver. Jyotija, yes, most of you have given correct answers. It is registered dealer, 12% forward charge. Correct. Swamideti Lakshmi, yes. Registered dealer forward charge. Registered dealer forward charge. JC Raj, Mr. A. Okay. Sankyaran, very good. Company under reverse charge. Abhishek Pandey, nahi, be careful. Priyanka, Mr. A forward charge. Registered dealer Yatiraj, Kanchan, Mohammed Vora. All of you have given correct answer. It is Mr. A under forward charge. Okay. Had he not taken full ITC, then it will be under reverse charge. But if he's taking full ITC, then it is under forward charge. Now there is unregistered dealer. Till now we have seen registered dealer. Now there is an unregistered dealer whose supplies, whose value of transaction is less than 20 lakhs. He is supplying it to an unregistered dealer. Unregistered dealer, lekin his supplies are less than 20 lakhs. He is supplying it to another unregistered dealer. What happens in this case? So the dealer is availing full ITC means he's taking 12% here. Correct. Deepika Sahu, I have seen very few answers from your end. Please give me an answer for this. I am not seeing your answers. Ninth one, few people are started giving correct answers. I would expect many answers from this. Sujal Negi, Pitladwada, Jnanesh, Anish Oja. Anish Oja, your answer is wrong. Kanaiya Singh, your answer is correct. Mohammad Aslam, wrong answer. Jyotija, correct answer. Ankit Goyal, your answer is also correct. Adarsh Nakonia, Alok Shivlani. Alok Shivlani, your answer is correct. Adarsh Nakonia, your answer is wrong. Vishaka Shetty, correct answer. Neha Sutar, wrong answer. Priyanka, Dipanshu, Tanzil Sheikh, Mohammad Vora, Harshit Jaiswal, wrong answers. ज्योति इन केस में दोनों अनरजिस्टर्ड है तो कोई नहीं पे करेगा, वो करेक्ट है, लेकिन अनरजिस्टर्ड है इसलिए पे नहीं करेगा नहीं, क्योंकि वो तो रजिस्ट्रेशन करने के लिए भी एलिजिबल नहीं है, इसलिए पे नहीं करेगा. सो इट इज एन एग्जेम्प्ट सप्लाई. सो करेक्ट आंसर इज इट्स एन एग्जेम्प्ट सप्लाई. क्यों एग्जेम्प्ट सप्लाई? क्योंकि अनरजिस्टर्ड डीलर है, उसका लिमिट भी कम है, तो इसीलिए वो पे नहीं करेगा. ठीक है. बट इन दिस केस थोड़ा ट्विस्ट है, ये भी अनरजिस्टर्ड डीलर है, ये भी अनरजिस्टर्ड डीलर बी को ही प्रोवाइड करा है, लेकिन इसकी सप्लाईज जो है मोर देन 20 लाख है. क्यों 20 लाख का इंपॉर्टेंस है? क्योंकि अगर जनरली 20 लाख और क्रॉस कर लेते हैं तब वी हैव टू टेक रजिस्ट्रेशन. दैट्स व्हाई देयर इज द रेलेवेंस ऑफ 20 लाख हियर. इस केस में क्या होगा? क्या 10th केस में भी आपका जवाब सही सेम रहेगा? Correct, Jasiraj. Your answer is correct. It will be under forward charge. Why? He's unregistered, but he's crossed the limit. So he's a taxable person. So once he becomes taxable person, he has to pay under forward charge. So it will be Mr. A who has to pay under forward charge, because in the previous case, turnover was less than the threshold limit for registration. So it was exempt. But in this case, his threshold limit has crossed. That's the reason he will pay under forward charge. Next question, unregistered dealer A providing services to company A. Who pays GST in this? In case में supply more than 20 lakhs, ये exempt supply नहीं होगी, ये registration के लिए eligible है. Correct, ज्योति. Question number 11, correct. जो भी आंसर्स अब तक दे रहे उन्होंने करेक्ट दिया है. दैट कंपनी अंडर रिवर्स चार्ज नॉन बॉडी कॉर्पोरेट टू कॉर्पोरेट, ये तो क्लियर ही है. Last option, company A providing to another company A. लेकिन in this case company is registered or unregistered doesn't matter, company है but they are claiming full ITC और ये company B हो जाएगा. Sorry, this is company B. In this case what happens? Wow, most of you have given correct answer. It will be company A under forward charge at 12%. Correct. Company A under 12% because he is claiming full ITC, so वो 12% charge करेगा. Okay. So we are clear with this now. Can we move to our presentation and move with the other topics, other reverse charge cases here? Clear with this? All probabilities I have considered. Question number 11 is an unregistered dealer providing to company A. So unregistered dealer providing to company A, it is always under reverse charge itself. A non-corporate providing to a corporate, so corporate has to pay GST under RCM. Okay. So that was all about. Very good. Concept और भी अच्छा clear हो गया. Great. 8th question, if avail full ITC, then again under reverse charge. 8th question, registered dealer is availing full ITC to a body corporate. So if the person providing is claiming full ITC, availing full ITC, then it's the service provider who has to pay. So person who is claiming full ITC will always be under forward charge. Okay. Clear, Parthasarthi? Priyanka ji on World Congress of Accountants, yeah, I think you can attend. Registration आपको कुछ अलग से करना पड़ेगा, but you can attend that. Okay, so we are discussing on renting of motor vehicle with cost of fuel. That's clear. Next is reverse charge on remuneration director. Whether director is an employee or no, it depends, right? Because not all directors are employees of a company. If it's an independent director, then he's not an employee. If he's a managing director, then he'll be treated as an employee. So if he's an employee, he's on the rolls of the company and is getting salary, then on that reverse charge doesn't apply. Schedule 3 as a salary, service by an employee to employer is exempt because salaries are exempted. So on that reverse charge wouldn't come. But if they are independent directors or other directors who are not employees of the company, okay, if they are not employees of the company, then it will be under reverse charge. Means any service charges, any professional charges, if they are providing or any sitting fees if they're providing to a director, then it will be liable to GST under RCM. If it is ascertained that director is an employee, then activities performed in the course of employment is not liable to GST. There are some milestones to check or some parameters to check whether the employer-employee relationship exists. You can check the TDS deduction, because under income tax, you have a deduction on salary. So if you're deducting under 192, section 192, which is the TDS on salaries, then it means there is an employer-employee relationship. If it is under 194J, which means it's a professional fees, then you are liable to pay GST under RCM. Okay. What is limited liability? Limited ITC. Limited ITC, we had discussed in the last class that if he's of the same services, same cab services, and if he's taking cab from somebody else, then that much he can claim and not other things. That is the meaning of limited ITC. What is the section for RCM? 9, subsection 3 is the section for RCM. Okay, so this is on remuneration to directors, which will attract reverse charge. Now, important points, what we have to note on RCM is no partial reverse charge applies, because in earlier under the earlier regime, we had a option of paying off partial reverse charge, wherein service provider will pay 50%, service receiver will pay 50%, or some other examples, some other specific cases were there where 75% used to be paid by the service provider and 25% used to be paid by the service receiver. To avoid such confusion, under GST, there is no partial reverse charge. 100% it will be reverse charge or it will be under forward charge. No partial reverse charge questioning. Under service tax, that was existing, but in GST, it will be either full reverse charge to be paid by the recipient or full tax to be paid by the service provider itself. Okay. Then all taxpayers are required to pay tax under reverse charge have to mandatorily obtain registration. We have a threshold limit for registration for a service provider, but for a service receiver, there is no such threshold limit. Service receiver has to obtain, if it is a category where service receiver has to pay, right? Like we have seen under reverse charge, under legal services provided to or other services provided to a entity or a company, if they've said. So even if the company's turnover is zero and they mentioned that he is the person liable to pay reverse charge, then the company has to register and pay. Like director sitting fees, director providing services to a company. Now, company's turnover is very less. It didn't start the operation at all. But it has to register and pay RCM because it is under one of the categories on which it has to pay GST under RCM basis. So it has to mandatorily obtain registration, then the threshold exemption will not apply. Payment of taxes under reverse charge cannot be made from utilizing of input tax credit and has to be made in cash. Then once you make the payment in cash, the recipient can take the credit on the taxes paid on inward supplies liable to reverse charge once the recipient makes the payment of tax in cash. Okay. $194 should be considered in GST, not should be considered, it becomes a guiding principle. If it is under, like, whether to know the nature of the payment, you will refer to other provisions, like the other information which is available. So I'm saying other information could be TDS. So once you see that for that same amount, TDS has been deducted under 194Q. So it means not 194Q, 194J. 194J is professional services. If you make payment under 194J, then you know that it's a professional payment and you can deduct TDS. You can pay GST under RCM in that case. Payment to independent directors covered under RCM? Yes, it is covered under RCM. Can I upload the notes of this chapter? Yes, I will upload the notes of this chapter along with the PPT. Now we'll get into GST under 9.5, which is under for an e-commerce transaction. Okay, what is an e-commerce transaction? It is simple. On a daily basis, we use it. But to understand from a GST perspective, we'll understand how the flow of the transaction moves. Customer places order on an e-commerce portal or an e-commerce website, and he places the order and he makes the payment also to the e-commerce company. Now, e-commerce company will not hold the stock of goods or it will not have an inventory. It will have a tie-up or a list of vendors who will list their products on this e-commerce portal. So supplier will place its products on this portal. Based on the portal's e-commerce activity, customer will place the order. Okay. Now customer will pay payment and place the order to the e-commerce company. E-commerce company in turn makes the payment and places order on the supplier, and the supplier makes delivery to the customer directly. Now, what will the e-commerce get? It will get this commission, which it deducts from the payment. What it makes to the supplier, from that it will reduce its commission. That is its income. Okay. What will the supplier ensure? He'll ensure the shipping and order fulfillment. E-commerce display the products, then it will get its commission. Why? Because it's marketing the products of the supplier and making them available to the customer. And customer, what he gets? He gets the access of viewing the product catalog, selecting, online ordering, and e-payment. Fine. So he is the ultimate person who makes the payment. This is how the marketplace model works. Okay. In an e-commerce, how does it work? It works on a marketplace basis, wherein the e-commerce company is under the marketplace model. Now, what happens under GST, under reverse charge or forward charge under e-commerce? For specified services, they have said the e-commerce operator has to pay taxes on behalf of the supplier. Not all e-commerce's transaction. Once you say e-commerce, no, you're under 9.5, you cannot say that, because 9.5 also specified through notification saying that these e-commerce services, if you provide, then it is under RCM. So if the e-commerce provides these following services, then they have to pay GST under RCM. Transportation of passenger by radio taxi, motor cab, maxi cab, and motorcycle. So basically any motor cab, Ola, and Uber, what services they provide. The supplier of services could be any of those cab provider. Who is the person liable to pay GST in that case? Will the cab owner pay it? No. Cab owner are very unorganized. So the government said they may not pay it. Okay, if they're registered, let them pay. But if they're registered under e-commerce, even if they're registered, the person liable to pay GST will be the e-commerce operator itself. So if you're doing any of this cab aggregation business, then the company who will be liable to pay GST, the e-commerce operator will be liable to pay the GST. Now, they will collect it from the customer when they raise the invoice. That is fine. But the ultimate responsibility is casted on this e-commerce operator itself. Okay. Then what are the services covered? Services of providing accommodation in hotels, inns, guests, houses, clubs, campsites, or other commercial places meant for residence or lodging purposes. So basically, Make My Trip or Airbnb, if I book something, then any person except who is liable for registration. So if the person is liable for registration, then he will pay. If not, it will be by the e-commerce operator, but not in case of radio taxis and everything. Radio taxis, even if the cab operator say if he's registered, still he will not pay the GST. The person liable to pay GST will be the e-commerce operator. But in case of providing accommodation, okay, in that case, it will be the service provider if he's registered, if not the e-commerce company itself, not the receiver. Like in 9.3, we had seen reverse charge basis. This is not a reverse charge. This is a different charge, which is a charge on e-commerce operator. Instead of service provider providing or the service receiver paying, this is the third category of person. E-commerce comes in. He is the person who meets the supplier, who connects the supplier and the receiver, and he's the person who will pay the GST on behalf of the supplier. Similarly, supply of services by way of housekeeping, such as plumbing, carpenting, etc. Like you have this urban clubs, like Chota Raju's. A lot of companies are there who provide these housekeeping services. So in that case, the service provider, generally they are unregistered because they're small. So that responsibility is on the e-commerce operator. But if this small provider also is very organized and he is registered under GST, then he will be liable to charge GST, not the e-commerce operator. Clear? ऑनलाइन बिजनेस में आरसीएम कैसे अलो होगा? नेहा सुतर जी, ऑनलाइन बिजनेस में जब ई कॉमर्स कंपनी होती है, उनके पास पूरे डेटाबेस रहते हैं, तो उनसे जीएसटी कलेक्ट करना आसान हो जाता है. इसीलिए जो ई कॉमर्स कंपनी होती है वो जीएसटी पे करेगी ऑन फर्दर ट्रांजैक्शन, क्योंकि उनके पास पूरे ट्रांजैक्शंस का रिकॉर्ड रहता है. तो वो सर्विस प्रोवाइडर की जगह ये कलेक्ट करके गवर्नमेंट को जमा करते हैं टैक्सेस. अल्टीमेटली कस्टमर को पे करना पड़ेगा टैक्सेस, बट हु इज द person who is liable to pay GST, that we are discussing. Like we paid intermediate registration fees via Razorpay. So Razorpay will get paid GST under RCM. Intermediate registration fees तो यहाँ पे categorized नहीं है, तो उसके ऊपर Razorpay कुछ पे नहीं करेगा, not under RCM, क्योंकि सर्विस प्रोवाइडर इज द इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स ऑफ इंडिया इन योर केस, तो वही जीएसटी कलेक्ट करेगी. ओके, गोइंग फॉरवर्ड 9(5) हम लोग समझ गए. नो which of complications in this. Any person, if it's a passenger of a radio taxi, motor cab, maxi cab, then it will always be the service receiver, and providing of hotel accommodation, guest house, or in terms of any cleaning services, it will be service provider register, if not the service recipient always. So which tax we complete after removing Article 370? Not very sure on your question, Mohammed. Remuneration of directors को हिंदी में आपका डाउट क्या है, आप ये बताइए. रेम्यूनरेशन ऑफ डायरेक्टर, जब डायरेक्टर एम्प्लॉय है और वो एम्प्लॉयमेंट प्रोवाइड करता है कंपनी को एज अ एम्प्लॉयर, उसके ऊपर जीएसटी नहीं लगेगा, बिकॉज सैलरी के ऊपर जीएसटी नहीं है, शेड्यूल 3 में कवर हो चुका है. उसके अलावा अगर रिसीवर, ओके, उसके अलावा अगर जो रिसीवर है कंपनी है और सर्विस प्रोवाइडर इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर, नॉन एम्प्लॉय डायरेक्टर है, तो फिर उसके ऊपर रिवर्स चार्ज पे करना पड़ेगा. दैट इज व्हाट वाज द पॉइंट ऑन जीएसटी ऑन डायरेक्टर रेम्यूनरेशन, वेदर अंडर फॉरवर्ड, इट विल ऑलवेज बी अंडर रिवर्स चार्ज और नो टैक्स. ठीक है. Now let's move ahead on classification of goods and services. Why is this important? क्योंकि अब जब हमने जीएसटी में गुड्स और सर्विस लेके आ चुके हैं, तो हमको समझना चाहिए कि गुड्स क्या है, सर्विस क्या है. तो इसीलिए गुड्स के लिए क्या कहा है, गुड्स के लिए कस्टम्स टैरिफ रेफर करो कहा है. सो हाउ डज द कस्टम्स टैरिफ लुक लाइक? दिस इज हाउ द कस्टम्स टैरिफ लुक लाइक. क्योंकि जीएसटी में एचएसएन नंबर के हिसाब से रेट दे दिया, लेकिन डिस्क्रिप्शन उसका जो समझना है दैट इज देयर अंडर कस्टम्स लॉ. जो जीएसटी का रेट नोटिफिकेशन है उसमें एचएसएन मिलेगा, एंड देयर सेड फॉर एनी इंटरप्रिटेशन रेफर्स द कस्टम्स इंटरप्रिटेशन. सो कस्टम में कैसे दिखते हैं, दिस इज अ कस्टम्स टैरिफ. कस्टम में चैप्टर नंबर 4 में है हम लोग. डेयरी प्रोड्यूस, बर्ड्स एग्स, नेचुरल हनी, एलिजिबल प्रोडक्ट्स. तो ये हेडिंग हो गया, चैप्टर हेडिंग हो गया. फिर चैप्टर नोट्स. चैप्टर नोट्स में क्या मिलता है, द एक्सप्रेशन, कुछ चीजों का एक्सप्रेशन समझाते हैं वहां पे. दैट विल बी अ मीनिंग क्लॉज. द एक्सप्रेशन मिल्क मीन्स फुल क्रीम मिल्क और पार्शली और कंप्लीटली स्किल्ड मिल्क. देन फॉर ईच पर्पसेस कुछ क्लैरिफिकेशन है तो वो मेंशन करेंगे. सो दिस इज कॉल्ड एज चैप्टर नोट्स. चैप्टर को अगर हम समझ नहीं सकते तो उसके नोट्स को पढ़ना चाहिए. तो चैप्टर नोट्स विल बी एक्टिंग एज अ ग्रेट सोर्स ऑफ इंटरप्रिटेशन ऑफ एनी प्रोडक्ट. ठीक है, तो ये चैप्टर नोट्स हो गया. फिर सब हेडिंग नोट्स. सब हेडिंग नोट्स में क्या है, जैसे स्पेशल रेफरेंस है वो आ जाएगा. फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ सब हेडिंग 040410 द एक्सप्रेशन मॉडिफाइड वे मीन्स सो एंड सो. ओके, तो फॉर दिस पर्पस बटर डज नॉट इंक्लूड डिहाइड्रेटेड बटर. तो ऐसे क्लैरिफिकेशन मिल जाते हैं हमको हेडिंग में और सब हेडिंग नोट्स में. देन फिर आफ्टर सब हेडिंग नोट्स मेन टैरिफ आता है. ठीक है, टैरिफ में फर्स्ट टैरिफ आइटम, दिस इज द एचएसएन कोड. जो 8 डिजिट का नंबर हमने बताया था, दिस इज द एचएसएन कोड. और उसका क्या मीनिंग है, सो मेन कोड यहाँ पे है, लाइक जैसे हम लोग मेन पेज पढ़ते हैं फिर सब सेक्शन वगैरह वैसे हो गया. दिस द मेन टैरिफ आइटम. दिस विल कंटेन मिल्क एंड क्रीम. तो हमको पता है कि यहाँ पे जाना है अगर मिल्क के आइटम्स देखना है. फिर फर्दर डिस्क्रिप्शन देखना है तो इसके अंदर से देखेंगे. फैट कंटेंट लेस देन 1% है तो ये है. सर रेट तो सेम है, हाँ रेट सेम है, लेकिन रेट चेंज हो सकता है, इसीलिए आपको करेक्ट टैरिफ देखना जरूरी है कि आपके प्रोडक्ट के डिस्क्रिप्शन के हिसाब से आप यहाँ पे जाएंगे. ठीक है, व्हाट इज द यूनिट ऑफ मेजरमेंट, पर केजी. क्योंकि जनरली इस ट्रेड में पर केजी में ट्रीट करते हैं तो फिर हम उसको केजी में ही लेंगे. सो पर केजी रेट ऑफ ड्यूटी इज 30%. अगर प्रेफरेंशियल एरिया के लिए स्पेशल रेट देना है तो फिर वो देंगे, अदरवाइज दिस विल बी द रेट. सो दिस इज हाउ यू रीड द chapters and tariff under customs. Supply of goods on Flipkart covered under RCM. Yes, Flipkart is the e-commerce operator, so it will be under RCM. In RCM, service provider is liable to liable in forward FCM, service receiver is liable. In case of e-commerce operator, then operator is liable to pay GST. Correct. Okay. So customs tariff we understood. Then we will go next to the GST. How does it appear in the GST? Now in GST, we'll see that this is the rate notification for goods. Notification, first notification जो आया है GST में, notification number 1 of 2017, central tax rate, मतलब सेंट्रल टैक्स नॉन रेट भी आएंगे, सेंट्रल टैक्स रेट भी आएंगे. जो भी रेट के नोटिफिकेशन है वो सेंट्रल टैक्स विद इन ब्रैकेट रेट में दिखेंगे. नोटिफिकेशन नंबर 1 of 2017, न्यू दिल्ली. So this it says that in exercise of the powers confirmed under Section 9, the central government, on the recommendation of the council, hereby notifies the rate of central tax of 2.5% in respect of goods specified in Schedule 1. तो ऐसे अलग अलग शेड्यूल के अलग अलग रेट रहेंगे. यू विल हैव टू सी व्हाट इज योर प्रोडक्ट जिसका आप रेट ढूंढ रहे हो वो कौन से शेड्यूल में है. ठीक है. अगर वो शेड्यूल 1 में है तो 2.5% लगेगा, शेड्यूल 2 में 6% और शेड्यूल 3 में 9%. वैसे वैसे बढ़ते जाएगा. ठीक है. जैसे हम फर्स्ट शेड्यूल जाते हैं, शेड्यूल 1 जिसके ऊपर 2.5% टैक्स है. यहाँ पे बेसिक चैप्टर हेडिंग देगा और बोलेगा कि क्या प्रोडक्ट्स है. लेकिन चैप्टर को समझने के लिए आपको कहाँ पे जाना पड़ेगा? कस्टम्स में जाना पड़ेगा. When you go to customs, you'll get to know a description of it, and out of that description, this item will be liable to tax at 2.5 plus 2.5%. By that, it has all the details of various HSN codes, okay, and the description. So description is also important in GST because now 0508 हो गया, बहुत सारे descriptions है उसके अंदर, but particularly these which specified here, that will be liable for the applicable rate. Okay. Then similarly, there is a GST rate for services. Services के लिए कौन सा है? Notification number 11 of 2017. 11 of 2017 central tax link. 1 of 2017 is for goods. 11 of 2017 is for services. So if this service has been provided, so यहाँ पे 99 chapter से शुरू होता है because up to 98 HSN is there under goods. From 99 it starts for services. So under 99 all services बोल दिया है. Then 9954 उसके अंदर सेक्शन ये हो गया, सब सेक्शन ये हो गया. Heading is 9954. If it is construction of a complex building, civil structure or anything, then the rate is 9%. So like that, you'll find that for services, all the rates are given in this notification number 11 of 2017, जहाँ पे various services are being described. For that services, what is the rate will be mentioned here. ठीक है. So जैसे किसी प्रोडक्ट किसी सर्विसेज पे 6% है, मतलब 6 into 6, 6 plus 6, 12%, 9 plus 9, 18%. So this is how the tariff looks for services. ये कहाँ मिलेगा? ये आपको जीएसटी पोर्टल पे या जीएसटी वेबसाइट पे, सीबीआईसी वेबसाइट पे आपको मिल जाएगा. In exams, rate will be given, or we need to remember it. Exams, rate for goods will be given in the question. Rate for services is generally 18%, so you have to remember, unless there is an exception, they will mention. Otherwise, if it is standard rate, then they will not mention. So you have to assume that for that service, standard rate applies. You have to remember any particular tariff item? No, we don't have to remember anything. This is only for reference on how to read it. So where to check these rates in Customs Act? In the Customs Tariff Act. So within Customs Act, you have a Customs Tariff Act. In the Customs Tariff, you'll find these rates. Okay. So goods has HSN chapters from 01 to 98, and services has chapters starting only from 99 and has 5 sections. So 9951, 9152, 953. उसके अंदर further classification रहेगा, but main chapter will start for services from 99. Okay. What are the services rates? We have only 4 services rates: 2.5%, 6%, 9%, and 14%. GPA on restaurant services GTA and restaurant services, the rate is 5%. Gambling, ambition to entertainment, games, service by a race club, वहाँ पे जब आप इतना पैसा कर सकते हो तो फिर रेट भी ज्यादा होगा. So there the rate is 28%. Services not specified with any rate will be at 18%. So standard rate for services is 18%. In e-commerce, who will pay tax? In e-commerce, not the service provider, not the receiver. It will be the e-commerce company itself who will pay the GST on behalf of the supplier. Okay, except those things which we had discussed, which will not get covered. So only service provider which is specified there, where let's say Ola, Uber ho gaya, cab aggregators basically. फिर second category is anybody who is under 9 e-commerce companies. If they are providing any cleaning services, manpower services, those will be under 9.5, that is e-commerce operator. So only these 3 categories of services will be under 9.5. Okay. Hotel stay is 12%. Yes, hotel stay is 12%. Okay, let's move ahead. On case of real estate, very simple है, इसमें कुछ ज्यादा समझने वाली बात नहीं. रियल एस्टेट सिर्फ 2 रेट होते हैं. Okay, one is 1% and another one is 5%. The new rates effective from 2020 is for housing projects. Okay, only for housing projects, if the rate is 1%, if it is new affordable housing projects. Okay, or if it is an ongoing affordable projects opting for new tax rates, तो फिर it will be at 1%. लेकिन other than affordable housing हो गया तो फिर 5% रहेगा. Okay, small houses will be treated as affordable housing. 60 square meter के अंदर जो है वो 1% वो affordable housing हो जाएगा, और more than 60 square meters, okay, will be under non-affordable housing. So if it is non-affordable housing, the rate भी ज़्यादा होगा 5%, and new other than affordable housing projects will also be under 5%. जो भी नया projects रहेंगे that will be under 5%. लेकिन जो भी आपको पुराने projects ongoing है, then you have to opt in. If you want to opt in projects with commercial space, ongoing projects opting for new rates, तो फिर 1%. Other than affordable housing projects, ongoing other than affordable housing projects, then that will also be under 5%. Or projects with commercial space less than 50%. अगर commercial space बहुत कम है, then also it will be under 5%. What are the conditions for real estate? Real estate में few conditions है, saying that first is ITC is denied. जो भी real estate है उनको रेट इतना कम कर दिया है 12%, 18%, सीधा 1% और 5% लेके आ गए, तो they've said आपको ITC नहीं मिलेगा. तो ITC अगर नहीं मिलेगा तो फिर क्या होगा? लोग क्या है, इनपुट नहीं मिल रहा है तो फिर मैं क्यों व्हाइट में खरीदूं, क्यों बिल लूं? मैं बिल में ही नहीं लूंगा, विदाउट बिल में लूंगा. To discourage that, they've put a second condition. They've said that 80% of your inputs or input services should be procured from registered person. आपको registered person से procure करना है. So you should have records saying and proving that 80% of your procurements and expenses are from registered person. Now, अगर जो भी shortfall हो गया, ठीक है, मेरे को 80% करना है, लेकिन मैंने सिर्फ 70% ऑफ माय कॉस्ट आई हैव टेकन फ्रॉम रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन. सो टू द एक्सटेंट ऑफ शॉर्टफॉल, कितना शॉर्टफॉल हो गया? 10%. इफ नॉट, टैक्स एट 18% विल बी पेड बाय द बिल्डर अंडर RCM. कितना? 18%. जो भी प्रोडक्ट है उसके ऊपर 5% लग जाएगा जनरली, लेकिन मैंने शॉर्ट परचेज किया है तो मुझे 18% पे करना पड़ेगा. So it is a caution to builders कि आप जो भी है रजिस्टर्ड डीलर से परचेज करो एटलीस्ट 80%. उससे शॉर्ट हो जाएगा तो फिर बैलेंस मिसमैच की वजह से आपको रिवर्स चार्ज में पे करना ही पड़ेगा. ठीक है. देन इफ सीमेंट परचेज फ्रॉम अनरजिस्टर्ड पर्सन, अगर इस शॉर्टफॉल में सीमेंट परचेज कर लिया तो आपको 28% पे करना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि सीमेंट का रेट ही 28% है. तो आपको 80% में शॉर्टेज में आपने ये प्रूव कर लिया कि मेरा शॉर्टफॉल ऑफ सीमेंट परचेजेस है, तो फिर 28% GST उसके करना पड़ेगा. रेस क्लब क्या होता है? जब गुड़ सवारी होती है, ओके, दैट इज कॉल्ड रेस क्लब, जहां पे घोड़े चलते हैं लेकिन आपको उसके ऊपर दाग देना पड़ा है कि ये घोड़ा जीतेगा. सो इट्स कॉल्ड बेटिंग एंड गैम्बलिंग. तो वहां पे जो बेट डालोगे उसके ऊपर भी GST है. दैट इज द एग्जांपल ऑफ रेस क्लब. Sir, under e-commerce, the service provider is e-commerce. No, service provider is not e-commerce. E-commerce is a facilitator who is connecting the service provider and the service receiver. Okay, so e-commerce is not the service provider. He's an intermediary. They say Amazon and Flipkart, they are not service providers. They are e-commerce operators. The service providers are actual service providers. जैसे आप कुछ खरीदते हो, ऑनलाइन पे कपड़े खरीदते हो, तो कपड़े की दुकान वाला है, वो अपने प्रोडक्ट्स लिस्ट करता है. That's the reason he is a service provider. Amazon and Flipkart are only a facilitator, and service receiver is the actual consumer. Okay. Betting and gambling, is it illegal in India? It is illegal, but permission है जहाँ पे wherever it is permitted, that it is permitted. जैसे race horse, in few states lottery tickets, they are all under permitted things, so they are not illegal. Wherever states it is banned, there it is illegal. What is carpet area? Carpet area is the actual area which is built up. That is called as carpet area. सीमेंट परचेजर को जीएसटी पे करना पड़ेगा. हाँ, अगर ये इसने 80% ऑफ द इनपुट्स रजिस्टर्ड डीलर से नहीं लिया, तो फिर जो भी शॉर्ट, तो फिर सीमेंट परचेजर को जीएसटी पे करना पड़ेगा. ठीक है, सप्लायर तो चार्ज कर चुका है, लेकिन रिसीवर को भी पे करना पड़ेगा, बिकॉज इट्स लाइक इट्स अ डबल टैक्स. ऐसा आई एग्री, बट उसको कंडीशन दिया कि तुम लेस टैक्सेस पे करो ना. टोल्ड हिम पे 1% 5%, लेकिन अब तुम 1% और 5% के पे कर रहे हो और आईटीसी नहीं क्लेम करना है आपको, तो फिर आपको ये कंडीशन फुलफिल करना है ताकि कुछ लूज एंड्स ना हो जाए. तो फिर एटलीस्ट आप 80% पे रजिस्टर्ड से पे करो, 20% आपको वैसे भी बेनिफिट मिल रहा है, 25% आप अनरजिस्टर्ड पे करो. दैट इज अंडरस्टैंडेबल. ठीक है. So if 80% of the input is not procured from registered person, then the 18% will be levied on the entire project, only that part procured from unregistered. Only to the extent of shortfall. जैसे 80% procure करना है आपको, आपने 60% ही procure किया. To the extent of that 20%, you have to pay GST under RCM at 18%. Okay. Second condition हमने ये लिखा है. ATC should be denied, so ITC claim नहीं मिलेगा. और 80% of the inputs or services procured from registered dealer. You have to procure minimum of 80% from registered dealer and not below that. That is the second criteria. Is this 80% criteria applicable for ongoing other than affordable project? Yes, it is applicable for both ongoing affordable and other than thing. Whoever has opted for new rate, okay, a new project also is there. If they have opted for this new rate, then this will apply. Okay, old one also it will apply because they have to get transition, so it will apply to them, and for new one also it will apply. So 1% household house और 5% commercial. 1% 5 कैसे हो सकता है? टोटल 100 होना चाहिए. ज्योति, आपका क्वेश्चन फिर से रिपीट कीजिए. Yeah, so in GST rates there are 5%. Yes, there are. ठीक है. Before we proceed, we'll take up few MCQs, then understand the composition scheme. ठीक है. Composition scheme is also part of it, but अब तक के जो भी हमने कवर किए उसका MCQ बना लेते हैं. Which of the following is treated as an interstate supply? Very simple questions. Yeah, Kanankari, if my voice is very low, thanks for letting me know. I will speak a bit louder. Okay. Which of the following are treated as interstate supply? First question. वन परसेंट जीएसटी अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग पे लगेगा और 5% नॉन अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग पे. Correct. The answer for first one is D, on all the above. When the location of supplier and place of supply are in two different states or in two different union territories or one in a state and in a union territory, सबके ऊपर interstate supply ही कहा जाएगा. Then second question. Exempt supply means supply of any goods or services or both, which attracts nil rate of tax, non-taxable supplies, both A and B, or none of the above. Okay, second one, most of you are given correct answer, but still few are getting confused. Exempt supply means nil rate and non-taxable supplies. Answer is C. Correct. Answer is C. Not exempt supply का definition itself says supply on which nil rate of tax and it includes non-taxable supplies. So non-taxable supplies भी exempt supply के definition में include हो जाते हैं. So exempt supply means nil rate of tax or wholly exempt from tax and non-taxable supply. Both are treated as exempt supply itself. Okay. So the correct answer is C. CGST Act and IGST Act extends to whole of India except Jammu and Kashmir, or none of the whole. Very simple question. Gomati Krishnan, yes, your question answers are visible. Third answer. Answer is B. If you are saying B, if you are saying A. When it says whole of India, it means whole of India. Then it doesn't mean whether in Jammu and Kashmir or no. It will be considered as including Jammu and Kashmir, as we had discussed from the chapter, from the first beginning chapter itself. The GST Act extends to whole of India, including state of Jammu and Kashmir. So correct answer is A. The CGST Act and IGST Act extends to whole of India. Fourth one, which of the following falls under reverse charge mechanism under GST? Supply of services by a goods transport agency, service supply by an arbitral tribunal, service provided by way of sponsorship to any body, corporate, or partnership firm. Yeah, fourth one, everybody has given the correct answer. The correct answer is D, because we know on GTA, arbitral tribunal, and on sponsorship services, RCM does apply. So correct answer is 4D. Next MCQ, MCQ number 5. Which of the scenarios fall under the scope of Schedule 3? We have learned the Schedule 3 scenarios. So tell me which of these falls under scope of Schedule 3. What is Schedule 3 that you need to understand? Schedule 3 means those supplies on which GST doesn't apply, no supply transactions. Yeah, this is really tricky. All the answers have come A, B, C except D. So everybody's sure it's not enough or above. It is either A or B or C. Mixed answers A, B, and C. The correct answer is which of the following scenarios fall under Schedule 3? Okay. Correct answer is A because it's the director's remuneration. So director is paying remuneration which is declared as salaries in the books of account and subject to TDS under 192, which means employer-employee relationship is there. And in Schedule 3, we'll find that employer-employee relationship is mentioned. So the correct answer is A. Okay. Few have mentioned BC. No, because one is employer relationship, one is a non-employer relationship. Only employer-employee relationship is mentioned under Schedule 3, not other cases. Okay. We're not talking about RCM. If we say under RCM, on which RCM applies the same options, if I ask you which of the following scenarios fall under reverse charge mechanism, then what will be your answer? For RCM, option will be B. Yes, not C, then it will be B itself. It will be B because in case of only B transaction, you will pay GST under RCM. In A transaction, you will not pay under RCM. Then it will be B. Correct. So everybody has understood RCM. Now the difference between RCM and Schedule 3 also you understand. Schedule 3 is those transactions on which GST does not apply, which is a employer-employee is one of the transactions. So on employer-employee, it is under Schedule 3 and non-employer-employee relationship, director providing services to a company is under RCM. Okay, great. So we'll take a break of 10 minutes and by 7:25, we'll catch up again. So some questions in the question box. If the contractor purchases 60% cement from registered person and 40% from unregistered person, so contractor need to pay GST under RCM on whole 100% or only 20%. So the threshold set for purchase from registered person is 80%. So in your example, you have said 60% is purchased from registered person. So to the extent of shortage of 20% only, RCM has to be paid. Okay, only to the extent of 20%, not 40%. Okay, so now let's get into the concept of composition supply. What is a composition supply? So normal supply, we have seen that a person who is supplying, he pays GST at the specified rate on goods and services. So if on some product, we've seen minimum rate is 5%. Most of the products, it will be 5%. On jewelry products, it is less, but generally the rate is 5%, 12%, and 18%. Now there is a small service provider, not a small service provider, sorry, it's a small trader. Okay. Now he says, I cannot calculate the GST rate, find out the HSN and everything. So I cannot mention the HSN number in my invoices. It is very complicated. What do I do? So the government has come up with a scheme called as composition scheme, wherein if you make any supply of goods, or if you're a manufacturer or a trader, then you don't have to pay the actual GST rate on those products. You can pay a lower rate, like how we had a lower rate for construction services. Instead of 12% and 18%, you will pay the lower rate of 1% and 5%. So here also you will pay a lower rate. If you pay lower rate, what happens? Input tax credit you will not get. So same year also, you will not get the input tax credit. So you can pay a lower rate, but the lower rate is as low as 1%. So the rate is as low as 1%. So a composition scheme person, a person who is registered under a composition scheme, can pay GST at the rate of 1% itself. Okay. But you have to be careful on if he's a manufacturer or trader. Don't go with the assumption that 1% everybody, 1% on what is also important. We'll understand that here. So a composition scheme of goods is also there. Composition scheme for services is also there. Okay, composition for goods as well as composition for services. Two schemes are available. So composition scheme for goods is under section 10, subsection 1. And for trader, it is 10, subsection 2. A manufacturer has to pay GST under if he's under composition scheme at 1%, which is 0.5% under CGST and 0.5% under SGST. 1% of the turnover in a state. A trader has to pay 1% of the turnover of taxable supply of goods. So turnover in a state and is bigger thing because turnover includes, we'll see the definition of turnover also. Turnover means the aggregate of turnover. Okay, total turnover, what he makes. But a trader, for them, it is mentioned as 1% itself. It is same 1%, 0.5% CGST, 0.5% SGST of the turnover of taxable supply of goods and services in the state. So for manufacturer, for them, the base is bigger. For them, the base is on the total turnover in the state. But for a trader, it is 1% of the turnover of taxable supply of goods and services. Okay, and for restaurant service provider, it is 5%. So a restaurant service provider, if he's registered under composition also, it's 5%. If he's not registered under composition also, it's 5%. So basically, this did not have any impact. Earlier, when the GST came, then there were two rates initially. 18% also was there, where they could claim the credit or they could charge at 5%. But there were a lot of confusion. That's why government said, we will keep one rate itself for restaurant service providers, 5% for all restaurant service provider, unless you are going in a 5-star hotel. Okay, so unless you're going in a 5-star hotel, it will be 18% there, but or 28% also. But in other cases, it will be at 5% itself. So the relevant scheme for composition for goods will be manufacturer and trader itself. And composition scheme for services also has been brought in, wherein if a service provider, generally the rate is 18%. If he's providing any services under this composition scheme, then he has to pay only at 6%, that is 3% CGST and 3% SGST. So he can pay only 6%. Okay. Then composition levy under section 10, what are the important points? This is a voluntary scheme and optional scheme. So it is not a compulsion, like how we had said under reverse charge. If that some category is coming under reverse charge mechanism, then it is compulsorily to be paid under reverse charge, and then you cannot pay under forward charge. Similarly, but your composition scheme is not like that. It is voluntary. So if you want, opt in. If you don't want, don't opt in. Okay. What are the benefits? You have to pay only quarterly payment of taxes at specified rates. You don't have to pay monthly. You pay only taxes on a quarterly basis. You have to pay at those specified rate, 1%, 1% or 6%, but without claiming input tax credit. We are giving you a lower rate, so don't ask us for credit. Government is saying pay it and don't claim the input tax credit. One annual return only you file. Don't file monthly returns. One annual return has to be filed. Okay. What is the turnover limit? Who can opt in? Aggregate turnover. Okay. Here it is aggregate turnover, but for payment for a trader, it is on taxable supplies, but for a manufacturer, it is again aggregate turnover. Turnover in a state, there are 2-3 terms of turnover which is used. For payment, turnover in a state. For a trader, turnover of taxable supplies. But for calculating the limits, it is aggregate turnover, which means total turnover across the country has to be included. Okay. Aggregate turnover calculated on all India basis. Now, what is aggregate turnover? First, let us understand. Aggregate turnover for calculating threshold limit is calculated on all India basis. It is calculated on all India basis. This is your aggregate turnover, which will include taxable supplies, exempt supplies, exports of goods, and interstate supplies. So all your outward supplies, whether it is taxable or zero rated, all of that has to be included. For what purpose? For calculating the aggregate turnover, whether you are falling under the scheme or no. On this, you will not pay tax, but you will consider whether you are a person who is eligible to fall under composition or no. Apart total turnover on all India basis, then it excludes value of inward supplies. Somebody was asking whether value of inward supplies will include for aggregate turnover. No, we will not include it for aggregate turnover. We'll pay tax on it, but we will not include it for the aggregate turnover. Then taxes, including cess paid under GST law. So whatever taxes you're paying is also not included. So आपका gross turnover जो है, that will be included. Taxable supplies, exempt supplies, exports, and interstate supplies. Now, explanation to section 10 says it includes values of supplies from 1st April of the financial up to the date of becoming liable for registration, which means total value for the year has to be considered. It includes the value of supplies from 1st April of the financial year up to the date of becoming liable for registration, and it excludes the value of interest or discount of deposits, loans, or advances. So if you are collecting any interest, or you have kept some amount in fixed deposits and you're getting some interest, that you don't have to include it here. Even though it is supply, it is exempted, but exempt supply includes all supplies. But specifically, they have said for this purpose, you don't have to include the interest value. You have to exclude the value of interest or discount of deposits, loans, or advances. Okay, so this is the aggregate turnover. This aggregate turnover, jo lenge hum, if it is up to 1.5 crores in the preceding financial year, not current financial year, you have to see turnover of the preceding financial year. If your turnover, aggregate turnover, like how we had mentioned, if that is less than 1.5 crore in the preceding financial year, then you can fall under composition scheme. What is the threshold limit for composition scheme? 1.5 crores. But for 8 special category states, it is half, 75 lakhs. What are those special category states? 8 states. TNMM, SUMA. This is a short term acronym which I use it. TNMM. Tripura, Nagaland, Mizoram, and Manipur. TNMM. SU stands for Sikkim and Uttarakhand, and M stands for Meghalaya and Arunachal Pradesh. These 8 states, the aggregate turnover, if it is crossing 75 lakhs, then you cannot go for composition. If it has to be less than 75 lakhs, only then you can go for composition. And in the present year, up to 1.5 crores, you can claim this composition scheme. Once it crosses, then you are out of the composition scheme. So to check whether you are eligible, you have to see turnover of the previous year, because composition scheme starts from 1st of April. Unless you have taken a new registration in middle of the year, But if your existing registration is there and you want to opt for composition, you have to opt from 1st of April. Okay, so from 1st of April, you have to opt it. And that limit you will see from the previous turnovers limit. Previous aggregate turnover should be less than 1.5 crores. Then you can go for composition for this year. In case of 8 special category states, it is half of it, which is 75 lakhs. And in the present year, up to 1.5 crores, or if it is special category states, up to 75 lakhs, you can go for composition. Once you cross it, then you are out of it. Then turnover limit for composition of services, which we have seen, 10(2)(a), there the limit is 50 lakhs. Up to 50 lakhs only, you can go for composition for services. Same, previous year's 50 lakh and this year up to 50 lakhs. Okay. I know there are a few questions. Let us understand this, then I'll take your questions. We understood aggregate turnover. Now, this is the aggregate turnover for checking whether you're falling under this or no. Then we have a aggregate turnover in a state, right? We have said aggregate, you will have to pay tax on aggregate turnover in a state, which is taxable supplies and exempt supplies. Now, this is also aggregate turnover in a state, which means you will only pay taxes on taxable supplies and exempt supplies for a manufacturer. But for a trader, we had said only on taxable supplies, only on this you will pay for a trader. Here also it excludes value of inward supplies on which tax is payable under RCM, and taxes including cess pays under GST law is also excluded. Excludes value. Here it excludes. There under aggregate turnover full year, but here it excludes the value of supply from 1st April of the financial year up to the date of becoming liable for registration. Okay, and it also excludes the value of interest or discounts or deposits. Okay, manufacturer 0.5% of the turnover in a state or union territory, and trader it is 0.5% of the turnover of taxable supply of goods or services in a state or union territory. Half plus half, 1%. Okay, clear with the basics of composition scheme? When is composition scheme applicable? Urmi, your question is answered. Sir, if I purchase good from composition scheme, then can I get ITC? No, we'll see the conditions. A composition scheme person cannot collect the taxes. So he has to pay taxes from his pocket. He cannot collect the taxes. And the person who is paying GST to a person who is under composition, he also cannot claim the credit. Okay, so if I am a trader, I am providing something to a composition scheme. So will I collect full taxes? Yes. I am a normal dealer. If I'm supplying to composition or anybody, I have to collect full taxes. So I will collect full taxes. Now, composition person cannot claim this credit because credit is not available to him. Now, this composition person who sells to his customer, he cannot collect GST on his supplies, and customer also cannot claim credit. Okay. What is the difference between turnover in a state or union territory and turnover of taxable goods? Can you give example? Abhi, my turnover is 50,000 rupees, okay, of taxable supplies. I am a trader of pens. I am supplying 50,000 worth of goods. Along with this pen, say I am supplying maps. Maps are exempted. I am supplying those worth of 20,000 rupees. So what is my turnover for a tax turnover in a state? It is 50 plus 20, 70,000. So if I'm a manufacturer, I will pay 1% on this 70,000. Okay, because that is my turnover in a state. But if I'm a trader, I will pay 1% on only 50,000 because for a trader, it is only on the taxable supplies, which is only on the value of pens, which is value is 50,000 rupees worth of sales I made. I will pay 1% on 50,000, not on 70,000. So trader will pay on taxable turnover. A manufacturer will pay on turnover in a state. That's the difference. Understood, Kanakarini? Supply to SEZ unit also included. Supply to SEZ is a zero rated supply. So it will not be included in paying taxes, but it will be including to calculate the aggregate turnover. Clear? ऑप्शनल स्कीम कैसे है? ऑप्शनल स्कीम ये है कि आपका टर्नओवर 1.5 करोड़ के नीचे है तो आपको अगर कॉम्पोजिशन स्कीम में जाना है तो आप लो रेट लगाइए. अगर आपको नहीं जाना है तो आपके ऊपर जो पेन के ऊपर नॉर्मल रेट है वो लेट रेट लगाइए और जो भी इनपुट है वो क्लेम कीजिए. हार्ड एंड फास्ट रूल नहीं है कि आपको कॉम्पोजिशन में जाना ही जाना है. अगर आपको नॉर्मल स्कीम बेनिफिट लगता है कि आप इनपुट टैक्स लेके आप आउटपुट पे कर सकते हो, आपके रिटर्न आप टाइमली पे कर सकते हो, फाइल कर सकते हो, तो आप रेगुलर स्कीम में जा सकते हो. ठीक है. Why exempt supplies are included and RCM excluded? It should have been vice versa. No. So exempt supplies are included for the purpose of turnover. ठीक है, तो एग्जाम सप्लाईज में इंक्लूड कर दिया उन्होंने, आरसीएम इंक्लूडेड एग्जाम एक्सक्लूडेड, और आरसीएम के अगर जो भी आपकी लायबिलिटी आएगी देन इट विल नॉट बी इंक्लूडेड फॉर दिस टर्नओवर ऑफ 1% के लिए आप इंक्लूड नहीं करोगे, लेकिन अगर नॉर्मल आरसीएम आएगा तो आपको आरसीएम पे करना पड़ेगा. क्लियर रामचंद्र? जैसे my turnover of 50,000 and 20,000, I'm a small dealer. Now, if I pay, I include these turnover for the purpose of 1%. I will not include the turnover of RCM. Now, if I've taken a lawyer services fees, a lawyer has provided me some services and he's charged me 50,000. On that 50,000, I will pay normal 18%. So that will not come under this composition 1% because this 1% and the 1% for a trader and manufacturer or 6% for service provider, this rate you will apply for outward supply. And you will not include the value of inward supply. If you are getting any inward supplies on which you have to pay under RCM, that regular rate only you will apply. Clear? Whether exempt supplies will also be included in calculating turnover of a trader. For a trader, no. So if I have 29 registration for each state, then for every registration, will it be 1.5 crores? No. Clearly, हमने यहाँ पे देखा है, aggregate turnover for calculating threshold limit is computed on all India basis. For each state, you will not see. So for all India basis, so even say each state, you are registered only in 4 states. Each state has turnover of 50 lakhs, 50,000 or 1.5 crores. No. So even if you are having turnover of 50 lakhs in each state, for each state, your turnover is less than 1.5 crores, but aggregate it is 50 lakhs into 4, which makes it as 2 crores. So you are above 1.5 crores, you cannot opt for composition in any state. Even though in each state it is less, but aggregate turnover is calculated on pan-India basis having the same PAN. If you are having multiple branches and registered in 4 different states, then you cannot opt for composition because this 1.5 crores has to be seen all India basis. Okay. एक्सप्लेनेशन टू सेक्शन 10 क्या बोलता है कि आपका जो भी सप्लाईज है 1 अप्रैल से आपने जो सप्लाई किया है वो आप इंक्लूड कीजिए थ्रेशोल्ड लिमिट के लिए. लेकिन जब आप टर्नओवर कंप्यूट करते हो तब 1 अप्रैल से रजिस्ट्रेशन तक आपको वो टर्नओवर इंक्लूड नहीं करना है जीएसटी पेमेंट के लिए. जीएसटी पेमेंट के लिए आप 1 अप्रैल से रजिस्ट्रेशन के टर्नओवर का वैल्यू एक्सक्लूड करोगे. ठीक है. So the 1% of turnover by manufacturer will be taken on the aggregate turnover of 3 months in this case, not on aggregate turnover, actual turnover. जो भी actual turnover होगा उसके ऊपर लेंगे. Kanakarini, 1% of turnover by manufacturer will be on taxable and exempt supply will be taken on total turnover of 3 months in this case. Correct. Total turnover. But sir, it is mentioned same PAN, but for separate registration, PAN would be different, right? No, PAN is one. If you have separate registration under the same PAN, your PAN will be same. You cannot change the PAN. PAN, you have to have the knowledge of income tax here. PAN is dependent on a person. So if there's one company, it will have one PAN across India, but you can take separate GST registration. Right. Similarly, if you're an individual, you can have multiple branches with one PAN. If you're having a different PAN, one person cannot have 2 PANs firstly. If it's a different PAN, it's a different person. Then that's a different thing. Okay. Then this and this will not get clubbed. But if you have one PAN, only then this question arises. Like you have one PAN, your brother has one PAN, both are doing business together. But for your IT filing, for your GST returns, you are 2 separate individuals. Right. So your turnover is separate, his turnover is separate. Then you can have your turnover, he can have his turnover, both composition permitted because you're not clubbing the turnover. But if you have one PAN and multiple locations, then it has to be all clubbed together. Okay. Now let's move ahead to understand further things, complications in this. Registered person who is not eligible for composition scheme. Now, who is not eligible? This is very important. We understood who is eligible. Now, who is not eligible? Person making any supply of goods or services which are not leviable to tax. ठीक है, जैसे मैं सिर्फ मैप्स में डील करता हूं, ओके, एंड आई डोंट डील विथ टैक्सेबल गुड्स, देन आई कैनॉट ऑप्ट फॉर इट, बिकॉज आपका तो है वैसे ही exempted सप्लाई कर रहे हो, तो आप कॉम्पोजिशन में आके क्या करोगे? सो फॉर यू कॉम्पोजिशन इज नॉट अवेलेबल. That is the first condition. Second is person making any interstate outward supply of goods or services. क्या हो गया ये? Interstate. You are restricted to do any IGST transaction. If you are making any interstate outward supplies, तो फिर आप composition में नहीं आ सकते हो. You cannot do any interstate outward supplies of goods or services. Person supplying, ठीक है, this is very important. अगर एक भी interstate supply हो गया, then आपको composition अगर registered हो, then you are out of composition. You cannot do enter into composition scheme again for that year. So interstate supply नहीं करना चाहिए. Person supplying goods or services through an electronic commerce operator who is required to collect TCS. So if you are operating through an e-commerce operator and he is responsible for collecting TCS, then also you are out. Then manufacturer of ice cream, pan masala, tobacco and aerated water. तो इसमें लिस्ट और बढ़ गया है, but just understand manufacturer of ice cream, pan masala, tobacco and aerated water. If you are these manufacturers, तो फिर आपको only manufacturers, not trader. If you are a manufacturer of these goods, then also you are not eligible for this scheme. A casual taxable person or a non-resident taxable person. Who is this person? Now, अगर मैं कर्नाटका में registered हूँ, मैं यहाँ से राजस्थान जाता हूँ वहाँ पे exhibition करने के लिए. There I have to take registration only, and then I can deal in goods. So I go there and take a casual taxable registration, मतलब temporary registration. So if I am a casual taxable person, can I say नहीं मेरे goods तो मैं input नहीं लेने चाहता हूँ, I can take casual, I can go for composition? नहीं. A casual taxable person registration जब लेते हैं तब आप ये composition scheme नहीं ले सकते. You have to take under normal scheme. Then a non-resident taxable person, a foreigner coming to India and doing registration for temporary purpose and going back. Temporary क्या बोलते हैं? Up to 3 months. So anybody doing business up to 3 months will be treated as either a casual taxable person, or if he's from outside India, then he will be called as a non-resident taxable person. So these two category of people cannot opt for composition scheme. Then he has to pay tax under RCM under 9.3 or 9.4 on inward supplies. So he has to pay regular RCM on the RCM categories what you have discussed. Then supply of services subject to marginal supply of service. मतलब supply of goods ही करना चाहिए, but उनको थोड़ा margin दिया है कि ठीक है आप थोड़ा बहुत service कर सकते हो. That I will explain you in subsequent slide. But they're saying that supplier of goods ही रहना चाहिए. अगर आप goods कर रहे हो, आपको marginally supply of service कर सकते हो, not much. ऐसा नहीं कि आप फुल गुड्स सर्विस दोनों करो, ऐसा नहीं है. गुड्स कर रहे हो तो सिर्फ यू शुड बी either a manufacturer and trader. Occasionally if you're doing something to a limited value, then it will be permitted, but if you cross that limit, then you're out of the composition scheme. Okay, then what are the criteria? A registered person who is not eligible for composition scheme of services. Person making any supply of goods or services which are not leviable. First of all, same condition. अगर आपके not leviable to tax है, then you cannot opt for it. Person making any interstate outward supplies. यहाँ पे भी service provider within the state ही provide करना चाहिए. Interstate provide नहीं कर सकता. Person supplying goods or services through an e-commerce operator, manufacturer of ice cream, pan masala, then a casual taxable person. He has to pay tax under 9.3 or 9.4. तो goods और services में क्या है? Supplier of goods can do marginal supply of services to a limited extent, लेकिन supplier of services सिर्फ supply of service ही कर सकता है, वो supply of goods कर ही नहीं सकता. ठीक है? Now what is this marginal? इस केस में हमने जो ये condition बोला है, subject to marginal supply. What is this marginal supply? Service value not exceeding 10% of the turnover in a state or union territory in the preceding financial year, or 5 lakhs, whichever is earlier, whichever is higher. तो आप 1 crore की सेल कर रहे हो, ठीक है, तो फिर आपका प्रीवियस ईयर का टर्नओवर देखा जाएगा. सपोज प्रीवियस ईयर आपका टर्नओवर था 1 करोड़ का 10% इज हाउ मच? 10 lakhs. So you can do services up to the extent of 10 lakhs or 5 lakhs, whichever is higher, which is higher, 10 lakhs. So up to 10 lakh worth you can do supply of services this year. That is called marginal supply of services. Okay. In the above calculation, interest on loans, deposit, advances will not be taken into account. ठीक है, interest on loan, deposit and advances you cannot take in account. और कॉम्पोजिशन सप्लायर क्या डिस्क्लोज करेगा? कॉम्पोजिशन डीलर विल इश्यू अ बिल ऑफ सप्लाई, क्योंकि वो टैक्स इनवॉइस नहीं देगा बिकॉज ही कैन नॉट कलेक्ट टैक्स फ्रॉम द कस्टमर, सो ही विल इश्यू अ बिल ऑफ सप्लाई इंस्टेड ऑफ इनवॉइस एंड शैल मेंशन कॉम्पोजिशन टैक्सेबल पर्सन नॉट एलिजिबल टू कलेक्ट टैक्स ऑन सप्लाई. जब वो कलेक्ट नहीं करेगा, जो सामने वाला बिल ले रहा है या बिल ऑफ सप्लाई ले रहा है, ही कैन नॉट क्लेम द क्रेडिट. Okay, and in his notice board and all his sign boards, he has to mention that he is a composition taxable person. ठीक है. But sir, it is mentioned same PAN, but for each separate. Okay, this I explained. सर कोई एक 1 अगस्त 2022 को कॉम्पोजिशन स्कीम के लिए अप्लाई कर रहा है, अब किस पीरियड की टर्नओवर कैलकुलेट करेगा? तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल थ्रेशोल्ड लिमिट के लिए अप्रैल से कैलकुलेट करेगा. ठीक है, अप्रैल से जो भी टर्नओवर है वो इंक्लूड करो उसका लिमिट देखने के लिए. अब आपने देख लिया कि 1 अप्रैल से अगस्त तक उसका टर्नओवर कमी है, तो आप उसको कॉम्पोजिशन में ले सकते हो. और जो टैक्स का किस कब भरेगा? जब से रजिस्ट्रेशन लिया तब से भरेगा. तो 1 अगस्त से जो भी टर्नओवर है उसके ऊपर वो टैक्स भरेगा. Sir, if I am under composition scheme in 2 states and I'm looking branch transfer from one state to another state, then what happens in that scenario? You cannot do branch transfer because interstate supply includes any kind of supply. Supply definition includes transfer. Interstate not permitted. Clear? So interstate stock transfer, you cannot do it. Is purchase return an example of interstate supply? No. Purchase return is purchase return. That is not an example of interstate supply. Person who is having turnover more than it is not eligible, right? More than that, it is not eligible. If a AC trader provides repair service, then he can opt or not. He can opt. तो जो repair charges है वो up to 10% और 5 lakhs whichever is higher, तब उतना लिमिट तक वो सर्विस प्रोवाइड कर सकता है. Okay. Now, important point to note is in this case of TNMM states. ठीक है. What happens in this case? Up to 1.5 crores की जगह 75 lakhs है for these special category states. Now I am having a branch in Karnataka and one more branch in this Tripura. तो फिर मेरा लिमिट कर्नाटका के लिए कितना होगा और त्रिपुरा के लिए कितना होगा? I have seen कि कर्नाटका के लिए 1.5 crores है और त्रिपुरा के लिए 75 lakhs है. बट अगर ये एक स्पेशल कैटेगरी के स्टेट में मेरा एक ब्रांच हो गया तो वहां पे लिमिट जब 75 lakhs बोलता है और एग्रीगेट टर्नओवर बोलता हूं मैं, so this becomes 75 lakhs and for Karnataka also it becomes 75 lakhs. So overall turnover in the country, if it is less than 75 lakhs, then only I can opt for composition scheme. Okay, because of the limit of the word aggregate turnover for the whole state, whole country has to be considered. जब त्रिपुरा के लिए 75 लाख है और एक और स्टेट के लिए वो है, तो फिर वो स्टेट का टर्नओवर भी कम हो जाएगा. एंड इफ आई ऑप्ट फॉर कॉम्पोजिशन वन स्कीम, ठीक है, मेरा 1.2 crores है which I'm crossing 75 lakhs, तो मैं बोल सकता हूँ कि त्रिपुरा में कॉम्पोजिशन करो और कर्नाटका में रेगुलर स्कीम करो. कैन आई डू दैट? One state composition, another state regular, is it possible? No, that is not possible. अगर आप पैन बेसिस पे जाते हो एग्रीगेट टर्नओवर, तो फिर आपको एक स्टेट में कॉम्पोजिशन है तो सभी स्टेट में कॉम्पोजिशन लेना पड़ेगा. ऐसा नहीं हो सकता कि इन वन स्टेट यूर अंडर कॉम्पोजिशन एंड अनदर स्टेट यूर अंडर रेगुलर. वो परमिटेड नहीं है. इन ऑल द स्टेट्स वेयरएवर यू टेकन रजिस्ट्रेशन, सब जगह आपको कॉम्पोजिशन स्कीम ही करना पड़ेगा। ठीक है, तो कॉम्पोजिशन डीलर विल नॉट इश्यू पक्का बिल, और पक्का बिल इश्यू करेगा वो बिल को बोलेंगे बिल ऑफ सप्लाई, इंस्टेड ऑफ टैक्स इनवॉइस वी विल टेल इट एज अ बिल ऑफ सप्लाई। Bill to ship to can be possible if recipient is in different state but delivery is in the same state. Delivery is in different state chalega, but recipient is in the same state. क्योंकि your transaction of bill to ship to depends on your customer. If you are billing it to a local customer and delivering it outside, then it is permitted, not other ways. You're saying if I bill to outside, then you will charge IGST. And you will deliver within the state. So it's not based on delivery. It's dependent on whom you bill to. Bill to ship to mein, whom you bill to is important. So if you're billing it to a local customer, delivering outside, that's permitted because it is again a intrastate supply, not an interstate supply. Okay. In case of restaurant service, how are we going to segregate services from goods for 10% criteria? So restaurant services is only a services उसमें criteria different is नहीं है कन्हैया सिंह. It's the वो इसके लिए applicable ही नहीं हुआ because they are only providing services. वो goods देते ही नहीं है, so restaurant service के लिए condition apply नहीं होगा. If I am having any registration, any special category state, by default aggregate turnover will be 75 lakhs every year. Correct. ठीक है. Now, intimation. What is the procedural aspect? Intimation for opting for composition scheme. New registration. When I make a registration application in GST REG1, in Part B, I have to mention that I am opting for composition. What will be the effective date? Date from which the registration is effective. So if I apply for registration, जब से registration date होगा, तब से that composition will start. ठीक है. Now existing registration है, then when I can opt for it, file an intimation electronically plus statement of stock within 60 days of financial year. ठीक है, तो क्या करना पड़ेगा? File an intimation electronically and a statement of stock within 60 days. ठीक है, because on whatever stock I was regularly there, I was claiming input tax credit. On that, I cannot claim the credit again. On that, whatever is the stock, I have to reverse it. So I have to file an intimation electronically and I have to file a statement of stock within 60 days. Okay, so that on the stock, whatever is the credit, I will reverse it. And then what will be the effective date? The effective date for existing registration will be always from the beginning of the financial year. Okay, it always be from the beginning of the financial year. Registration maximum कितने स्टेट में कर सकते हैं? कितने स्टेट्स है उन सभी स्टेट्स में आप कर सकते हो. There is no maximum threshold, Kavita. You can take registration in all the states, doesn't matter. But you have to do compliance for each state separately. Okay. So this is the procedure for registration and effective date. Validity of the composition scheme. Withdrawal by the taxpayer will cease who ceases to satisfy any of the conditions. So composition scheme can continue, but if you are not satisfying the conditions, then you will be out of it. You have to file an intimation for withdrawal within 7 days. So it means if your turnover has crossed 1.5 crores, then you have to intimate the officer within 7 days saying that my turnover is crossed. I cannot continue under composition, because officer will not come to know you are doing your business. You have to intimate them within 7 days saying that my turnover has crossed. So I have to opt out of the composition. Then you have to pay regular tax on every taxable supply. Effective date of withdrawal will be the date of intimation. Officer late approval deta hai, that's fine, because aapne voluntarily kar liya hai. From the date of your application, it will be treated as your cancel. But it has to be in the present year, cannot be previous year. Up last year jaake nahi bol sakte, you cannot be so late, correct? So it has to be in the current year. Withdrawal by a taxpayer who intends to withdraw, file an application. Effective date of withdrawal will be the date of intimation mentioned, but it has to be present year, cannot be previous year. Again, same thing. Then denial of option by tax authorities, where the proper officer has reasons to believe that the person is not eligible for composition levy or person has contravened the provision of the act, then they will not give you the composition scheme. Okay. Because when you opt for composition, he has to satisfy that you are following the conditions properly. So if the officer has any reasons to believe that you will not eligible, then he will cancel it. Before cancelling, what he will do, he'll issue a show cause notice. This is a very important instrument or document in GST. Before denying any benefit to you or before rejecting your application, he has to give a show cause notice mentioning that why I should not reject your application. And he will give you a hearing date. You have to file a reply with your reasons, because an opportunity has to be given to you. If something wrong is done against you, then opportunity has to be given. That is done through this show cause notice. Once the show cause notice is served, you will have to reply to that. Then the officer will pass an order, either accepting your reply or rejecting your reply. But he's given you an opportunity, right? You can deny it. Then effective date will be from a date which can be retrospective date. Wherein if you opt for composition, then he will say that no, your composition is not right. Then he can give it from a back date, saying that from that date itself, your composition is invalid. Okay. In all the three cases, the taxable person has to furnish a statement within 30 days of a stock statement, because once you're under composition scheme, on that stock, you cannot claim the credit again. Okay. So if you're a taxable person, you have to furnish a statement within 30 days from the date of withdrawal, and a statement of stock held by him should be given. That is all the basic concept of composition scheme. All clear with composition scheme? State-wise, if it is opting for one state, then all states have to opt. What is the marginal service limit? Then what is the basic turnover? Trader, it is different. And a manufacturer, it's different. In service provider, it is straight 6%. Okay, now let's take up few questions on composition so that we understand this topic in detail. Mr. A is running a consulting firm and also a ready-made garment showroom, which are registered in the same PAN. Turnover of the showroom is 102 lakhs and receipt of the consultancy firm is 24 lakhs in the preceding financial year. Whether Mr. A is eligible for composition scheme, whether there is any difference if Mr. A wants to offer composition scheme only for showroom. Okay. No, he cannot opt. Yes, he can opt. So the important point is he cannot opt for composition in this scheme because it is less than 1.5 crores, but he's doing turnover of goods and services, which is not permitted. Services is permitted up to 10% or 5 lakhs, whichever is higher. Previous year's turnover is not given, but here in this turnover, see, it is crossing. So he cannot opt for this. Aggregate turnover includes all supplies made by all persons registered under the single PAN. Exempt supply is included in the definition of aggregate turnover, and non-taxable supply is included. Hence, non-taxable supply is also included in the aggregate turnover. Service providers are not eligible. That was a thing, but to the extent of marginal also, he cannot opt for it. And if he wants to go only for second question, whether there is any difference, Mr. A wants to opt for composition scheme only for showroom, can he opt for it? No. As I said, if one registration is taken for composition, then all other registration has to be taken for composition. So he cannot opt for it. Mr. A is providing services and consultants in a firm. He's not eligible for composition scheme. If he is going for composition scheme for services, then also it is not eligible because composition for goods is separate, composition for services is separate. So if he's opting for composition for services, then all the units he has to opt for composition for services. 10.1 and 10.2 is different, 10.2A is different. If he's opting for composition scheme for services, all the registration he has to offer composition scheme for services. If he's opting for composition scheme for goods, then all the registration he has to opt for composition for goods only. So if he's going for composition for goods for garment showroom and is providing consultancy, he cannot opt for composition in this case. Okay. Second question, if instead of consultancy services, Mr. A is running a restaurant, then whether eligible? Yes, because under 10.1 and 2, we have said restaurant is one permitted criteria. Is restaurant service is eligible, then he can go for it. Okay. If the turnover of garment showroom is 140 lakhs in the preceding financial year and there is no consultancy firm, then whether he is eligible? Yes, then he is eligible because his turnover in the previous year is less than 1.5 crores, then he is eligible. Okay. Clear with this? सेम पैन बेसिक पर कॉम्पोजिशन स्कीम के लिए अप्लाई कर सकते हैं, ओनली फॉर शोरूम के लिए, विदाउट अडॉप्ट नहीं कर सकता, नहीं. बेसिक कॉम्पोजिशन स्कीम अगर वो के लिए जाता है तो सभी रजिस्ट्रेशन उसको कॉम्पोजिशन स्कीम फॉर गुड्स पे ही जाना पड़ेगा. इफ पैन इज डिफरेंट तो फिर पार्टी दो हो गए. इफ पैन इज डिफरेंट देन सेपरेट, वो फिर अपने को अलग से ले सकता है. मेरा पैन, दूसरे वालों का एक पैन, एक पैन में कंसल्टेंसी सर्विसेज, एक पैन में गारमेंट शोरूम ले सकता है. एग्जाम में कैसे प्रेजेंटेशन करना है आपको प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग में समझाया जाएगा, कैसे प्रेजेंट करते. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. Mr. A has obtained a registration of casual taxable person. ठीक है, इसने casual taxable person का registration ले लिया. Now he wants to opt for composition. Can he opt for वो एग्जीबिशन के डिस्प्ले के लिए जाता है और टर्नओवर एग्जीबिशन इज 15 lakhs, 1.5 crores है, इसके नीचे है, क्या वो कॉम्पोजिशन ले सकता है? मिस्टर ए इज नॉट एलिजिबल फॉर कॉम्पोजिशन since casual taxable persons are specifically excluded. अगर वो थोड़ा भी टर्नओवर करेगा फिर भी वो cannot claim for composition. Okay? Next question. Can the composition scheme be availed if the taxable person has interstate inward supplies? क्या यहाँ पे claim कर सकता है? No. Yes sir, yes sir. कैसे yes sir? Who people are giving yes answer, please justify. And people who are giving no answer, why can't he opt for composition? Just don't give yes or no, आपको रीजनिंग भी देना पड़ेगा. हम कंडीशंस में फिर से जाते हैं, शायद आपको कुछ पता चल जाएगा. पर्सन मेकिंग एनी इंटरस्टेट आउटवर्ड सप्लाईज. ठीक है, आउटवर्ड और इनवर्ड में फर्क है ना. पर्सन्स मेकिंग एनी इंटरस्टेट आउटवर्ड सप्लाईज ऑफ गुड्स को एलिजिबल नहीं है. अभी अपना क्वेश्चन फिर से देखिए, कुछ अलग से दिखेगा आपको. Can a composition scheme be availed if the taxable person has interstate inward supplies? कुछ फर्क दिख रहा है अभी? अभी फर्क दिखा बच्चों को. सब लोग देख के बोल रहे कि हाँ सर, ये तो इनवर्ड सप्लाई का बोल रहा है, लेकिन कंडीशन तो आउटवर्ड सप्लाई का है. सो if he is making any interstate supplies, then he can opt for composition scheme. तो ये composition scheme में जा सकता है. The composition scheme is applicable subject to the condition that taxable person does not engage in making interstate outward supplies, while there is no restriction on making any interstate inward supplies. Interstate inward supplies कर सकता है, outward supplies नहीं कर सकता है. ठीक है. Next, Mr. A is registered in Rajasthan who is selling goods from Rajasthan to Gujarat. Turnover of Mr. A is 73 lakhs in the preceding financial year. Whether Mr. A is eligible for composition. फिर बाद में करते हैं, फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन का आंसर कर लेते हैं. In this case, what do you think? क्या हुआ? सब लोग थक गए. I am not getting answers. Yes sir, he can take composition. Inward supply से क्या इफेक्ट होगा? नहीं होगा. करेक्ट. नो, यस यस नो, जो भी यस नो बोल रहे हैं, give your justification. Just don't give yes or no answers. Very good. No, because it is an interstate supply. So interstate नहीं लिखा है, लेकिन हमको समझना चाहिए ना, राजस्थान to गुजरात is a two different states. ठीक है, तो two different states, तो interstate supply हो गया. interstate supply होगा तो फिर composition scheme नहीं मिलेगा. Now will your answer change if Mr. A is making purchase from Gujarat and selling goods in Rajasthan? Will it change now? करेक्ट आंसर सबको मिल गया है. Yes, in second case he can do it because purchases from Gujarat he is eligible for composition because interstate inward supplies permitted है, लेकिन interstate outward supplies permitted नहीं है. Correct. Mr. A is not eligible in the first case. Mr. A is making purchase from Gujarat, then he is eligible as there is a restriction outward inward supply, not on inward interstate supply. Next question. Mr. A non-resident taxable person, is running a ready-made garment showroom in Rajasthan. turnover of the preceding financial year is 70 lakhs, whether he is eligible to opt for composition scheme. ये तो टर्नओवर 70 ले इंटरेस्ट 80 है, अब इसमें क्या दिक्कत है? Not eligible. Very nice. Good observation, everyone. Less than, more than पे confused नहीं होना चाहिए, अपने को सब कुछ देखना चाहिए, right? Since he is a non-resident taxable person, is specifically excluded, so he cannot opt for this. Very good. Next, very interesting question. Mr. A is a dealer who is selling goods that are leviable to GST, exempted goods, or non-taxable goods. His turnover in the preceding financial year is 110 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs, goods which are leviable to GST, exempted goods, or non-taxable goods, respectively. Whether Mr. A is eligible for composition scheme. No, not eligible. If people are saying no, not eligible, reason with EJ. Not eligible. Run is crossing. Very good. Since computing both good labels using external, because then okay. JC Raj is saying both GST exempt and this thing has to be included. 110 plus 20 is 130 lakhs. So she is, Mr. A is eligible. But most of you are saying no. So people who got confused with three turnover, all the turnover has to be included. Non-taxable goods, the definition of exempted goods, we learned that non-taxable goods also are part of exempted goods itself. So his turnover is 110 plus 20 plus 30. So total is 160 crores, which is crossing 150 crores. So he is not eligible. Okay. Next question. Mr. A is selling goods through e-commerce operator. Turnover of the preceding financial year is 75 lakhs. Whether Mr. A is eligible for composition scheme. But some people in the previous question are giving answers because he have exempt supply. Even if he has exempt supply, it is if he's making fully exempt supply, then he is not eligible. In this case, he's having exempt, non-taxable and everything. The reasoning is important. The reasoning is his turnover is crossing 1.5 crores, so he is not eligible. Okay. He is necessary to answer which section. This is section 10, very simple. Easy sections. I would recommend you to please mention it. Right. Most of you are giving correct answer for this. He's selling goods from e-commerce operator, so he cannot opt for composition. Mr. A is selling goods to e-commerce operator, therefore he is not eligible. Very good. Next question. Before that. Yeah. A person has two establishments, one in Uttarakhand and Rajasthan. The turnover in Rajasthan is 60 lakhs and turnover in Uttarakhand is 30 lakhs. He wants to opt for composition scheme in Rajasthan, whether he can do so. The last question for the day. After that, there are some FAQs which are self-explanatory. So I will upload the presentation for you to read through this. But this answer this very important question. Uttarakhand limit is 75 lakhs. Yes, Uttarakhand limit is 75 lakhs. Most of you are saying no. Few are saying yes, because in both state limit has not crossed. Yes, under one pan his turnover is less than 1.5 crores, so he can opt for it. Very strong answers coming in there. Yes, sir, he can opt for composition scheme because aggregate turnover is 90 lakhs. Only he can opt, and both should be composition scheme. No, as the aggregate total turnover is less than 5 crore, which is the threshold limit. Yes, since it is less than Pratima Gautam, it is less than 1.5 crore, so why can't he opt for it? Good responses I'm getting, and people who are saying no, they're justifying because turnover is 75 lakhs. The correct answer is he can't, as in Uttarakhand threshold limit for composition levy is 75 lakhs. For a single pan, the limit will remain same as it is in a special category state. His turnover exceeds the limit. Correct. It was a perfect answer. Since his aggregate turnover for the previous year on his PAN was more than 75 lakhs, he cannot opt for composition for the state of Uttarakhand. Since he cannot opt for Uttarakhand, why he cannot opt for Uttarakhand? Total turnover is 90 lakhs. Limit for Uttarakhand is 75 lakhs. Since he cannot opt for Uttarakhand, he cannot opt for composition in Rajasthan also. Each state it is less. but aggregate turnover is what we have to consider. Okay. Hope you understood with this properly and with our examples. ज्योति जी, आपका भी आंसर मिला मुझे, करेक्ट, आपका आंसर भी करेक्ट है. Most of you have given a correct answer for this question. It means you have understood composition very clearly, क्योंकि state wise में confusion का हो सकता है. जैसे आप ठीक से समझ चुके हैं, तो there will not be any problem. ठीक है. Thank you very much, students. I'll wait for 2 minutes to take up any of your questions. PPT upload, yes, definitely I'll upload the PPT today itself with all the other notes also. It's 75 lakhs plus 75 lakhs? No, Anish, it is 75 lakhs for the state of Uttarakhand. Uttarakhand में जब 75 lakhs है and your aggregate turnover is crossing, then you cannot opt. It is not 75 lakhs plus 75 lakhs. It is 75 lakhs aggregate turnover for the whole India. And Uttarakhand limit is 75 lakhs and Rajasthan it is 1.5 crores. So can you say 1.5 plus 75, 2.25? No, the limit doesn't shoot up. The limit comes down. You have a turnover of 1.5 crores in Rajasthan and 75 lakhs in Uttarakhand. 75 lakhs will remain the rate, remain the threshold for both states. Okay. Correct. Jyoti, आपको concept clearly समझ में आ गया? That is the best thing, because with this online classes, I can give the concepts only in a better manner. Numbers I can give you, but numbers you will only understand for 1 or 2 numbers. Most of you students are asking, give us numbers, whether numbers will be there. If you understand the concepts, application of this concept on the numbers, you can do it yourself. ठीक है, तो कॉन्सेप्ट ऐसे ठीक से पढ़ा सकते हैं और आप ठीक से समझ सकते हैं, तो फिर आप आगे भी कुछ भी कर सकते हैं. 8 स्पेशल स्टेट्स कौन से हैं वो हमने बताया था यहाँ पे. आई शो यू अगेन. आप अभी लिख लीजिए उसको भी. 8 special category states. त्रिपुरा, नागालैंड, मिजोरम, मणिपुर. नॉर्थ ईस्ट स्टेट्स हो गए. त्रिपुरा, नागालैंड, मिजोरम, मणिपुर, सिक्किम, उत्तराखंड, मेघालय और अरुणाचल प्रदेश. ओके. त्रिपुरा, नागालैंड, मिजोरम, मेघालय. मणिपुर नहीं है, बिकॉज एम से मणिपुर भी आता है, लेकिन मणिपुर नहीं है. त्रिपुरा, नागालैंड, मिजोरम, मणिपुर, ना सॉरी, मिजोरम, मणिपुर, सिक्किम, उत्तराखंड, मेघालय और अरुणाचल प्रदेश. ठीक है. दीज आर द 8 स्पेशल कैटेगरी स्टेट्स. Okay, thank you very much. We'll meet again on Saturday for a very interesting session. Thank you.